This is Spreaker Web Radio.
And we're live here for what's probably going to be the third episode of my little radio show that I now do. Tonight's guest, I've got Ollie and I've got Tom back by popular demand, as Frankie was originally here but he couldn't do it for whatever reason, but I'm sure you'll all love to have the Brummy back.
Yeah, bitches love the Brummy accent.
Well, let's hope we get some bitches viewing. Straight on to business, because obviously we've got a hell of a lot to talk about with last night's review, but straight into the first segment. Obviously there's not much to say here, but Mr. McMahon thanking the WWE Universe to reach the milestone they have done. What do we think about that? Tom, if you want to start us off.
It was nice to have him on the show, because obviously he's the guy who started it all, so you got to have him on it somewhere. I think it's a bit weird having the guy who DX were against for so long introducing DX.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was a good touch to have him in there somewhere.
It's always good to see Chairman, though, isn't it? I love Vince McMahon. I'm sad that he's not on TV every week. What did you think, Ollie?
Yeah, I thought it was good. Just, I wanted to say about it, he just came out and said thanks and that, but yeah, it was odd having him and DX together when they had like the rivalry together and like hated each other.
Yeah, it was strange for him to introduce DX, but I don't think there was any enemies last night, obviously, in terms of the Legends returning. Everyone was on good terms, but moving on quickly from that, obviously we had, first of all, I've got to mention it in time, we had Triple H and Shawn Michaels come out, which for me, DX, the main people, was good enough. I was like happy to see them. But when they started, I was aware they could have possibly brought back Billy Gunn. Well, Billy Gunn was a complete shock to me, but I was aware X-Pac and Road Dogg could have returned. But when they were talking about should there used to be more of us, that was when I was starting marking out. So I thought, oh, X-Pac and Road Dogg, I'm happy with that. But when I saw even they'd managed to somehow get Billy Gunn back, I was chuffed as anything. Fantastic segment in my eyes. It's always great to see them, and you could clearly tell they were enjoying themselves. I don't think that section was even scripted, to be honest with you. Sandow obviously coming out was scripted, but other than that, I think that was just DX being DX. What do you think about that, Ollie?
Yeah, I enjoyed that. It was I like went mental when they all came out.
I was actually genuinely surprised to see Billy Gunn. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. Like, I was surprised to see him, obviously, but they'd been saying, obviously, that Mr. McMahon wanted to do whatever it took to get people in. So it was good to see all the D-Generation X-Pac, obviously missing China through. She's off doing what everyone knows she does now. But apart from that, yeah, it was good to see them all.
Yeah, I never in a million years expected China, but saying that, obviously X-Pac was involved in them two of the videos, and he was there, and he didn't get any heat about it. He was having a laugh, having a joke. Something that particularly struck out to me as well is when Sandow came out and they was talking a little bit about religion, because obviously, I don't know if we all know, but Shawn Michaels is a born-again Christian, and Shawn Michaels was even having a laugh about religion. And that was fantastic to see, because obviously he could have been very uptight about it and avoided it.
Yeah, I know.
But it was. They were all out there. They were all having a laugh, and it just brought back good memories. It was a fantastic start to the show. But moving on from that, sadly, this for me was an absolute. Fair enough, the match itself was all right, but I don't understand somehow the booking order to go from reuniting one of the greatest stables of the entire Raw era, never mind Attitude, to then a 6-man tag match with Sheamus, Mysterio and Sin Cara against Del Rio, Dolph and Jericho. I mean, yeah, big names, but you don't heat the crowd up and then go to something like that, do you really? What do you think about that one, Tom?
I like the way they, like in that segment, they incorporated a youngster into it, because obviously it's the 1,000th. You're going to have one of the biggest audiences of the year, so it's a way to get someone over. But it didn't seem like the right segment to have him in all honesty.
Do you think they're protecting Rey Mysterio a bit? Because obviously his first match back was a tag match on SmackDown. Then he's gone into a tag match where he didn't even come in the ring and wrestle.
The whole thing seemed a bit just thrown together, really.
It just seemed a match on the card, Ollie. What do you think about this?
It was a letdown. When I saw like the comparison, I think I thought it would be like a good match, but then the whole way they panned it out was just like really bad in my opinion. I would have liked to see DX in action, but I know it wouldn't have happened. Better than that.
I do understand that was a bridge too far to see them compete.
Yeah, I know, they're all a bit like getting on a bit now.
But it's just to see them really started my night off with a bang. But like we're moving on to that tag match, something else that sticks in mind as well. I mean, fantastic to hear JR commentating on a match, but for God's sake, why that match of the entire night? Why did he appear for that one match and that one match?
Why couldn't have they done him for the whole night though? That would have been.
It would have been better, yeah.
Match. But then main event, I would have been happy to see him at the main event, but just that match was just stupid.
It was almost like they were just cramming him in for the sake of having a big name. Or let's have JR, well, just for the sake of that one match. I don't know if he had prior commitments, but...
It's just like the match itself, they were just cramming in names to try and make it look good, but it turned out the match was just a massive disappointment.
Yeah, I don't understand it personally, but WWE went with it. And then this next segment we'll move on to was pretty surprising to me. Well, yeah, it was surprising to me, because obviously we had all the faffing of Charlie Sheen meant to be the social media ambassador, and then just disappearing off Twitter and not a mention of him, to him suddenly being in a Skype call. That to me was... I loved it, because I love Charlie Sheen, but it's obvious that they're covering up for the botch. Because Sheen obviously had no interest in Twitter anymore, so they thought, right, we've paid you, we obviously want to see you at some point, so they quickly changed plans to the Skype thing. What do you think about that, Ollie? Because...
Well, they could have paid, like, no, I'm not saying they should have paid him. If they paid him then, they should have kept him on a bit longer, because he only spoke to them for like 15 seconds. And it was obvious that he wasn't really watching the show, because he just said the most basic things about what had happened, like in each segment he was in.
Yeah, basically just said the bare basics that he could have got off anything. He could have had a guy tell him that.
Yeah.
But obviously I'm going to be slightly biased due to the fact I adore Charlie Sheen. I think he's an absolute legend. I mean, I wouldn't condone doing drugs, but the way he lives his life is just something if you have the money, you should be doing. I'm not going to condone drugs, of course, though. But yeah, Tom, what's your feelings on this Skype Charlie Sheen thing?
To be fair, I just think it was because the check's already cleared. You got to get him on somehow.
That was my opinion. I know you've already, you plan to mention this in your blog. Do we have any idea when that blog's going to be released, Tom?
Well, it should be sometime tomorrow, well, sometime today now. It would have been today, but I've been having internet problems, so...
Well, we all have them. That should be an interesting read for anyone out there who hasn't already seen his work. I won't go on much longer because I seem to talk about him quite a lot, but... Next, we had this little backstage segment with AJ getting ready and Layla there. For obviously, my opinions are known on Layla, but even I thought she looked quite well last night. What are we thinking about that one then, Tom?
Well, I thought it was quite funny that WWE took the mick out of themselves with the old Mark Henry and Mae Young thing and the hand. That may be that. But I thought it was good, and obviously it's always nice to stare at AJ and Maida for a bit. So I think anyone would likes that.
The segment gets a thumbs up just because there was a woman getting changed and Layla looking quite good.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ollie?
I think it was.
And they weren't trying to wrestle.
Well, Ollie, go on.
It was a good way to feature the Divas because it would have been like any match would have been a disappointment because we know how we know the Divas division in WWE's going to the dogs, but that was a good filler in my opinion.
Yeah, they had to get the WWE Women's Champion there somewhere, and obviously all the press is on AJ. But yeah, like Tom said, it was funny to see them cram some more legends in backstage, including the whole big hands segment with Mae Young. I think Mae Young literally lives back behind the scenes in WWE, to be honest. She just appears.
Yeah. She probably just sits in a corner somewhere, just waiting for the...
I can imagine it though.
Rocking chair with the WWE logo on it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Just sits in the back of the van.
Next up, as obviously I've mentioned to Tom once I've done a little bit of a segment in his blog coming up, I wrote my worst moment of the night, quite by a million miles, is Brodus Clay versus Jack Swagger, then with Dude Love.
Awful.
For a start, I don't understand what Brodus Clay has done by jobbing a former world champion in 30 seconds, and it's just another excuse to cram another legend in there. What actual opportunity or what possibility is a Dude Love with Brodus Clay? How does that even make sense?
It's just because they got gimmicks that are kind of
similar.
Yeah.
You have the hardcore legend in Mick Foley ready to use anywhere on your show. Someone that was huge in earlier years in the Attitude Era because he won. Him winning the title is what basically, obviously you can say Austin, but you saw the facts of how many people tuned out to see of WCW to see him win the title as Mankind, and you dress him up as Dude Love and throw him in a job match. A complete waste of Mick Foley, but I could rant on all night about this because I feel WWE have never been fair to Foley and he's been treated like shit quite a lot by them. But this segment for me was nothing but terrible, and at this point, after seeing this, after what I'd seen previous, I was starting to reassess whether Raw would deliver for me that night. But that's my opinion. What are we thinking on it then, boys? Ollie, if you want.
It's the type of thing you would have seen on Superstars and still be disappointed with, let alone Raw at 1000.
I mean, fair enough, I understand putting over. I've seen Brodus Clay job several people, well, get jobbed by several people now. But his character's developed now. He obviously comes out, he looks quite impressive sometimes, as a sing and a dance. Why the hell would you have that on the historic 1000th episode of your show? Never mind to Jack Swagger, who, fair enough, has had his up and downs, but he's bloody better than jobbing to Brodus Clay. I'd like to see Swagger get a push. He seems to be jobbing at the moment. He loses nearly every week he's in. It's ridiculous how they're treating him. It's like what we expect us to forget that he used to be a title holder. So what does that do? It just decreases the credibility of the titles. But again, I'm venturing on to Santino friggin' Morello holding the US title belt. An absolute joke by WWE again. But anyway, we need to move on to the next segment. Unless, Tom, have you got anything else further to say about that?
Well, the only thing I could say is if they've made Jack Swagger look that weak, then unfortunately Brodus Clay is going to be one hell of a champion in the future. I really hope not, though.
Yeah, that's something I wouldn't like to see. But we had a very different, in my opinion, looking Trish Stratus with Triple H in the next backstage segment. What did we think about that one then, Tom?
It made me laugh. That's what I'm going to say. When DX interrupted.
It was typical DX, and nice to see the former legendary Diva herself, of course. Back when the women's actually meant a little bit something in WWE.
when it was actually called the women's.
Exactly. What do you think about that, Ollie?
Always nice to see a good old diva in there, but yeah, I think it was a good filler, good segment, but it's just I would have thought a lot more highly of it. It hadn't been after that massive letdown before.
Exactly. Something that I was very infuriated about is like I've said, mentioned the booking. The WWE went from hot to cold all night. I watched the Destination X pay-per-view TNA. I know I'm talking TNA now. I'm not a big fan of it. Others that listening will be. Well, I wouldn't say that I'm not a big fan of it. I'm saying I'm not really into it as much as I'm a WWE. But I watched that, and fair enough, it started off, in my opinion, it wasn't the greatest. But it built over the night and developed into a decent pay-per-view. Like pay-per-views or big events should be. Not going from hot to cold with having DX return to a shite 6-man tag match. You want it to develop from not so good to great rather than heating and cooling down the crowd. That's how your crowd's going to get restless and disappointed. But I'm not in charge of WWE booking, and I hope that they've realised that could have been booked a lot better. But as usual, always great to see Trish and Triple H getting up to some old antics. As obviously you remember the old segment quite a while ago when Steph walked in on Triple H and Trish doing that. So I thought that could have been a possible bring back to Steph, but more about that later in the show. Next, there was a smaller segment that many people might not have noticed, but we had Daniel Bryan talking to 4 mysterious men in white coats, which looked to me like, remember the Kane angle when Vince McMahon used to keep getting the people from the Madhouse to come and take him away. I can't remember which Royal Rumble, but even eliminated himself in one of the Royal Rumbles to chase after him. So I thought, that's obviously a bit, once he's married to her, he'll do something, I don't know, probably get him out, something like that. Anyway, small segment, but what do you think about it, Tom?
It made no sense whatsoever. It looked like something I'd do if I had like 1 minute left on Total Extreme Wrestling and I needed to book something. That is the kind of thing I'd do, even though it makes no sense.
It's a small, wasteful filler that's just trying to get the crowd thinking a little bit.
It's just, the men didn't mean anything because she still stood him up.
Yeah, and WWE knew that, so it's just... But we didn't know that at the time. I think that's what it was trying to indicate.
It's, I suppose, but I just thought at the time that they were just going to be people who accompanied him to the ring, or people who sat down on a couple of chairs ringside or something. Like witnesses or whatever, try and make it seem a more realistic than it already was, even though it was already a joke. But to try and make it seem more realistic.
Yeah, I thought they were his best men or something. But
yeah, but they weren't in suits though, were they?
I don't know.
4 random guys they've hired. It's just why waste my time?
Family, the way they were dressed.
Well, another car wreck of a small wasteful segment that just took more time away from what I was looking forward to. Next up we had first of all we had Slick coming down, which for me was impressive, surprising. I liked it. I love a bit of Slick. Many people disagree, but I think he's very funny. And he improved to what I thought was going to be a shocking segment, but he improved it slightly, so that was good to see. But we had the AJ Daniel Bryan supposed wedding, and without mentioning what happened, as everyone will obviously know, but what did you think about the introduction to this, with obviously Slick coming out and it looking like it was fully on? What did we think, Ollie? What's your take on it?
Well, on the wedding,
yeah,
I think it was played out pretty well, but and I wasn't expecting the end result at all, really. Definitely not AJ. So I thought it'd be like she accepted. I was thinking it'd be she accepted Kane to get married to Kane, but then Vince McMahon came and I was just like, I didn't know what on earth was going on, because I definitely didn't expect her to be the new GM, and I'd love to see how that's going to pan out in the next few weeks.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see, but yeah, it was all right in the end. It wasn't too bad. It was obviously just on pure shock value. which is just like when Sheamus beat Bryan in 18 seconds. That was just a pure shock value result. But yeah, overall, Slick improved it definitely. But I was very, very disappointed in the decision to give it to AJ. Again, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Stupid business. I don't, especially because they build it up as being the permanent GM for the new era of Raw. So the new GM, but new era is AJ. What does that say about it? As I mentioned, all she's gonna do is probably make skipping around the ring mandatory. And it's just what I don't want to tune in to see what's portrayed as a strange, crazy diva making random matches. It'll probably be something along the lines of Daniel Bryan versus Cena and all the other faces of the company, or something daft like that.
Daniel Bryan on a 16-on-1 handicap match.
Well, it would not surprise me, to be honest, but it'd be stupid. Anyway, what did you think, Tom?
I would have gone with a different ending, because AJ being general manager just didn't make any sense at all. Unless obviously, like, it's just prejudging the whole where they're going to go with it, obviously. But I thought when she said yes to someone else, I thought that was either Kane, that she'd said yes to Kane and maybe Kane had proposed something off it, or I thought it'd be a perfect way to introduce someone new.
Yeah.
And say, like, as I mentioned before, I don't know when I mentioned it, I think I mentioned it to you, about Dean Ambrose and his whole gimmick at FCW lately.
Yeah, we discussed a bit of that last week, as it was a question posted by you, but well, not last week, last show.
But I think that would have been a better way to go about it.
But how does that affect the GM decision? I mean, they could have at least played that out a little bit longer. Like, there was no hype to it whatsoever. Suddenly Vince comes out, suddenly, oh yeah, AJ's the new thingy. If they'd have hyped that a little bit more, I'd have been more excited for it.
The GM thing, well, I don't think it should have had anything to do with this at all. It's like, they've been having all these previous people. I mean, you could even tell the crowd were a bit disappointed. Well, there's obviously the few cheers, because obviously it's against Daniel Bryan and what he wanted. But it just seemed like a massive letdown after the build-up for the whole general manager. Everyone knew there was going to be a new general manager, and whenever there's a new general manager, people get excited.
Exactly.
And it just seemed like a massive letdown.
For it to be announced as AJ for me was, yeah, a terrible letdown, but any closing thoughts on this segment with obviously AJ, the new Daniel Bryan, first of all, getting stood up, because that'll impact later on, but
I liked the way Bryan seemed a bit more edgy after it. Like, they were trying to play it as if it actually had affected him. And I'm willing to see where WWE go with this whole AJ thing, really.
D. Bryan performed well in that segment, I think.
Yeah, I'd agree.
yeah, it did.
Did you see when she just announced that she accepted someone else's proposal, and then like Slick's face when he found out?
Yeah.
That was so funny.
What made me laugh as well, I can't remember the exact moment it was, but when Slick held up his hand and started walking away.
He's so funny. I'm watching it now.
He did really improve that segment for me. Without Slick there, that might have been a little bit stale.
See, I posted the link on the page. Yeah, Thomas, did you look at it?
Yeah, I did.
His face is so funny. Me and my mates were just laughing so much at that.
But yeah, in closing, I want to see what they do with it, but I am very disappointed. But we all saw the stood up coming, but we nobody could really predict AJ being the new GM. So she's
carry on.
Basically, so in my opinion, it's been giving it on shock value. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
I was gonna say I didn't feel as let down as you two clearly do, because I like the unexpectedness behind it and what they can do after the announcement of her being GM, because there's a lot of possibilities, which I think is actually quite good.
Yeah, I don't mind the shock value. I was just disappointed at the other people that could have shocked me. But
Yes.
we've got roughly about 5 minutes left on this part of the show, so if we can push it on, because we're still not even halfway there, because the next one will require a lot of discussion as well. But first of all, The Rock, for a start, coming back to Raw, which is always a big pop that he'll get, because everyone loves The Rock, really. I can't think of anyone that will dislike him. But what do we think, first of all, about The Rock's return and his little mic thing, before he even announces the title match? What do you think, Ollie?
I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. It's always nice to see The Rock return as well, because he was such a big part of Raw. And to get him to return and say that he's in a WWE Championship and announce it, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was one of the highlights of the night, that's for sure. Because it basically, I'd always watch the Royal Rumble anyway, because I love the Royal Rumble match. But that for me is pay-per-view sold already. I'll pay the 15 straight away to see that main event as well as the Royal Rumble. What did you think about it, Tom?
I've got two, I was really happy with, obviously everyone loves to see The Rock. He's one of the biggest faces of all time. He's amazing at selling, he's amazing in the ring, he's amazing on the mic. But it was I understand why they would announce it before, because obviously, 1,000th Raw, you're going to have loads of people.
Yeah, the pay-per-view basically sold itself.
It's pay-per-view buys.
Exactly.
So, I can understand it, but it would have been more of a shock element if they wouldn't have announced it, if you know what I mean.
Well,
But obviously I can see from a business standpoint why they would announce it.
what, so they'd have an unknown main event and they just tell whoever the champion is to defend the title, and then you just hear The Rock's music hit at the Royal Rumble?
Yeah, it's a shock element. More of a shock element than obviously planning it 7 months in advance.
But to be fair, I think WWE realised that last year's Royal Rumble was a disappointment on the whole, in my opinion. So this is guaranteed buys, isn't it? It's basically the easy option.
I agree with that.
It's got Royal Rumble bought.
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I'd finish. Sorry, Earl. Ollie.
I was just going to say, they've now screwed over any chance of having a good storyline for the WWE Championship going into the Royal Rumble, unless he makes more appearances before the...
I personally said straight away that December he'll come back now, roughly. He'll come back and appear a couple of weeks.
Like a permanent superstar.
Well, no, like what he did. You remember what he did for WrestleMania, for the build-up to the Rock Cena match, where he just appears sporadically. Where he'll appear one week, then Cena will retort the next week, and then Rock will come back again. Like, he'll be more active. I mean, he won't be not there. He won't just appear randomly at the Royal Rumble and expect everyone to suddenly remember the storyline. They will build it to an extent, but it gives
a lot of promos.
Yeah, but it'll give The Rock a few months off till that time to sort out what he's got to sort out. And it basically guarantees people, it's basically reminding people, yeah, The Rock's back, but obviously it's just sticking in people's minds that The Rock's returning. But he's obviously got other commitments to do.
Yeah, so if he wins the WWE Championship, it's gonna be difficult for him, because you have to be a full-on superstar if you're the champion. So, but he's got loads of other commitments, so it's a bit stupid, because a lot of people expect to see The Rock to win.
I actually think that what they'll do now is, this is my prediction, that they will make him lose the championship match to whoever he's against, whether it be Big Show, as they said, Cena or Punk. But then I reckon he'll win the Royal Rumble, which is a way to have him not compete until Mania anyway. But then obviously he gets to face the champion.
No, I don't see that personally, Tom.
I can see that happening.
They won't book him twice in a night, even if one of them is a Royal Rumble.
I can see where you're coming from with not booking him twice, but that's the only way I can see them getting around the whole him turning up one week, not turning up the next, when people would expect to see the champion every week.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good thing to do, but it's the fact that WWE created just don't like doing what we want to see.
Yeah, I understand that. I must say though, guys, we're running out of time on this first part of the episode, so I want to thank my guests for joining me and see you for part 2 hopefully. Guys, bye.
At www.spreaker.com, create your own radio show and find thousands of exclusive radio channels.
And we're back, guys. Sorry about the half an hour delay, but unfortunately Tom's internet has gone AWOL, so he unfortunately won't be joining us for the second part, but we still have Ollie here.
Hello.
And we're going to discuss the second part of Raw and any questions that I've got and can fit into the time we have left. So, pushing straight on, obviously we discussed The Rock proclaiming his title match at Royal Rumble, but next up we had, with Bret Hart serving as guest ring announcer, we had The Miz defeating Christian to become the new Intercontinental Champion. What did you think of that one then, Ollie?
I enjoyed that. I like The Miz, but I think Bret Hart could have played a bit of a role in that. Seeing he's like a massive legend. Like he could have been guest referee, not in a ring announcer. You see him for like 2 seconds and he's gone.
Exactly. I thought that a little daft. That he was only a ring announcer.
I did enjoy the match. I think it was a good match. And they played Christian's injury really well. How he reversed and then he got reversed again, which I think was quite cool.
But it keeps Christian looking a bit strong, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's nice seeing a new fresh champion. Seeing the Christian's, to be fair, he's getting on a bit, and it's nice. He deserves like one more like major title shot. He shouldn't be a mid-carder.
Yeah.
Mid-card title holder.
Definitely, we both agree there. But as much as I love Christian, I do like The Miz, and he obviously is getting a push since he came back. So it is good to see him with a belt. But like I say, it was just stupid how they've crammed another legend in there, having Bret Hart announce Christian and The Miz. He must have felt like crap doing that with everything he's done for the WWE.
Yeah.
And they have him doing that. It was ridiculous, but they got Bret Hart on there. We saw Bret Hart. We saw a decent Intercontinental title match. Obviously, it was booked quite well. The Miz came out on top, which I'm happy with. I do like The Miz. But next up, the next segment, we had Charlie Sheen appearing when he took the piss out with Daniel Bryan at first. Rip him a little bit after what had happened at the wedding. What do you think about that segment?
I enjoyed that. I thought it was quite funny. Just because it's Charlie Sheen and everything he does, it seems to be funny, no matter how actually funny it is meant to be. And then I would like to see a match between Charlie Sheen and D. Bryan. So yeah, I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was an alright segment. Good to see a bit of Charlie Sheen on there. But yeah, basically just obviously set up for the segment later on in the night where the challenge is issued, because obviously you see Daniel Bryan getting interviewed later on from this. But again, they were alright. Can't fault it really. Next up after that, we had the Brock Lesnar Triple H angle.
Pardon?
Next after that, we had the Brock Lesnar versus Triple H angle, where obviously we had Triple H come out and then Heyman come out.
Yeah.
What did you think about
that? That was good. Well, I enjoyed that. It's carrying on from all the mini feuds that they've had in the ring recently over the whole challenge and the lawsuits and stuff like that. And then when Stephanie came out, mate, you love a bit of Stephanie McMahon, don't you?
Oh,
we all do.
But yeah, it was an alright angle. Triple H obviously getting a bit aggressive at Heyman. Heyman's talking shit again. But
yeah.
It was a good way to reintroduce Stephanie, definitely.
Yeah. I enjoyed that.
It was a very...
Stephanie, what more can you ask for?
Yeah, obviously Stephanie getting what she wanted eventually, manipulating Heyman to lose his temper. We all knew the match acceptance was coming though. They obviously weren't going to bill it and then never have the match.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, we're alright. Then Lesnar obviously coming out, having a little bit of a promo scuffle. Hype us up a little bit for the event. So
I don't think there's nothing obvious about who's going to win it. To be honest, it could go either way. Recently, most matches have been, it's so obviously going to be Cena who wins, like the Money in the Bank. But this one, I honestly have no idea who's going to win.
yeah, there's still an element of surprise to it because it could go either way. To be honest, it wouldn't really have much effect on the people's careers.
Yeah.
But I think Lesnar has to win this.
I don't know. How long is he? I'm not sure about his contract, but he's not on a major.
He's contracted for 2 more pay-per-views, which is believed to be SummerSlam and WrestleMania.
Well, I don't know. I don't think he definitely has to win, but there could be another feud that leads up to WrestleMania between them two if Triple H wins and Brock Lesnar could be angry at it or something like that. I can't wait to see what happens in that match, to be honest.
Well, we all know Triple H has a long history of burying people, but hopefully Lesnar can come out on top in this one. And well, in my opinion, this is my opinion, it'd be good to see Lesnar win it, and then possibly, like you said, I think Triple H might want to slice or revenge it, but WrestleMania possibly or something like that. But
yeah.
After losing to Cena, I think Lesnar has to win this one, or he's just going to have no credibility. Who's going to fear a man that loses every match?
Or could we see a Lesnar versus Undertaker WrestleMania match?
It's been tipped. There's a few that's been tipped. The Undertaker now has complete control over his streak. He can choose who he loses against, but I wouldn't like him to lose
does
at
he have
all.
that option?
Yeah, it's in his contract now, obviously, because he's earned the right to be creative over his own storyline.
Is he even gonna lose the streak though?
I think WWE will make him lose it at one point, and that'll be his retirement. But if you think that's the ultimate act of putting over, anyone that beats the Undertaker is going to have a successful career.
Jack Swagger.
But you can't go from him jobbing to Brodus Clay to beating the Undertaker, though, can you? So we'll see how they use that card. I hope they don't make him lose, but I think they have to. Otherwise, people will just keep calling for him to return. If you think about it.
Yeah.
If he has an undefeated streak, fans will just keep wanting him to return to defend it.
It should stop at like a landmark number, not like a 23, but like a 30.
He ain't got 30 left in him, not a chance.
What's he on now?
20, I believe.
Oh right, yeah, definitely not 30 then. 25.
25 would be a huge push as well.
Yeah. But something like a 22 or 23 that doesn't seem right.
No, I know what you mean.
If you get where I'm coming from.
No, I understand completely. It's not really a number you associate with the end of a streak, but there we go.
Well, you have to do what's right for his health and fitness, to be honest.
Well, that's part of the well. We'll move on to that. Obviously, we've got a couple of things more to discuss, but he's feeling and looking good after WrestleMania. He's come out a lot better this year than what he did to the previous year. Obviously, you saw. So he's come out a lot healthier. He could actually probably do a part-time schedule and return properly, but I think he's earned his time off. As much as I'd love to see it, I understand that he wants his time off his family. I just think
he definitely deserves it.
Any man could have easily, with what he's done, retired years ago. But the fact that he still comes out and puts on a performance at the big pay-per-views and big events, I think speaks about his character.
Dedication at its finest.
Well, I mean, Stone Cold himself has said in an interview that he could do full-time wrestling again, but it means 7 years down the line he'd be in pain. You know what I mean? When he does quit properly, he'll be in pain, and he wants to enjoy his life rather than be in pain due to all his injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's why he doesn't wrestle anymore, which is understandable.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I do understand it, to be honest. But moving on from that, next up we had first of all we had Heath Slater coming out, obviously running his mouth once again.
Yeah.
Talking about saying that he'd have a no DQ, no count-out match with anyone in the back which obviously you saw who came out, which was Lita.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, bit of a daft angle. I had heard Lita was returning, but I didn't expect to associate it with that. I mean, always great to see her, but obviously she's like China. She's been used as like a manly diva. So yeah, great to see Lita. It was an alright segment, but obviously when she introduced APA, that for me was a huge shock. Because Ron Simmons, I expected would make an appearance, but to see Bradshaw was very impressive. Because obviously he's been doing his
interview recently saying he's taken a lot of time off, but then I didn't expect him to come back.
Yeah, because he's meant to be doing his charity climbs of mountains, which WWE have paid for charity. So I expected him not to be there, but the fact he's found time to do that and come back is great. It speaks volumes. But he did say in an interview that he's not finished with WWE because he feels he owes them for doing this for him. So he will return in the future at some point, but it won't be to an active wrestling role, I don't think.
Alright.
What were you going to say?
I was just going to say that the clothesline from Hell was a beauty.
Yeah, it was done well and sold well, to be honest.
Yeah.
But overall, I was very happy to see Lita, I was very happy to see the APA, and obviously I had all the legends there as well. Stopping him, escaping, which was funny to see. They all were smiling and shaking hands and crap in the ring. One thing we've neglected to mention is that Howard Finkel was the announcer for that match, if you want to call it a match. That was good to see Fink involved.
Definitely.
But yeah, overall one of the better segments of the night, definitely. I mean, obviously the fans would have been calling to see Stone Cold answer the call, but we got Lita, and I suppose we're overall happy with Lita.
Yeah, definitely.
Twist of Fate and a moonsault.
And decent pair of tits as well.
Oh yeah, well every going boy needs tits, don't they? So I apologise to any female fans we may have out there, but we're all men here.
Yep.
Anyway, moving on from that, a little mention that we had a small backstage segment with Cena Metal with Rock, and we had a bit of Zack Ryder and Mean Gene Okerlund. That was just another legend throw in there.
Yeah.
But little to talk about that. Obviously, Cena and Rock with a little bit more chemistry again off screen. I suppose, alright to see.
What? Which was that? Cena and Rock?
It was a very small segment, but do you remember backstage when Zack Ryder and Cena were talking to Mean Gene?
Yeah,
and then Rock
I remember
appeared.
that, but the Rock came out and wished him good luck.
Yeah. It was quite a small segment, but it's still worth a mention, obviously.
And then wasn't it when then Cena said, "Oh, you said the same thing to Punk earlier."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, got it.
And then he said, "Oh yeah, you said something else about the title match, etc., etc." And then basically promoing.
Yeah.
Then after that, we had Sean Mooney. I know nobody will know him, so just to mention, it was the interviewer for the first ever Raw, so that's why he was there.
Yeah, that was good.
Just a random appearance to get him in there. I suppose I like to interview Daniel Bryan, who was obviously quite irate and annoyed at what had happened. He's when Bryan basically had said he'd slapped Charlie Sheen before he could say winning, the catchphrase of all. So that was just hype that a little bit, a bit of build up to it.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, that's our finish. Go on.
I was just going to say, D. Bryan sold the whole thing really, really well, in my opinion. Like, he played it out really well.
Yeah, it was overall very believable, wasn't it? You could believe he was upset by the events. But
and I can't wait to see. I just can't wait for next Raw as well, just to see how all of it pans out.
Yeah, the fallout of it. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm the same. Sadly, we've got nearly a week to wait now, but
yeah, nothing's much going to be special as out as usual.
Yeah, but well, that segment was alright. I didn't overjoy me. It was just more promoing of Bryan, but
yeah.
Overall, it were alright. I'm happy with it. I'll take it. Moving on from that, we had, well, needs no mentioning, but my biggest mark-out moment of the night, because I didn't expect it, and I don't think anyone expected it, but we had the return of Undertaker.
Yeah. Well,
Because at first,
I so. Pardon?
it was fun. It was funny at first because Kane came out, and I thought, I said, wouldn't it be fun? I said to myself, wouldn't it be funny if they brought the Undertaker back now? And then you had the common joke that's been made. You had half of NXT come out,
Yeah.
which I thought was a possible start of some form of new Nexus.
Yeah. I think that'd be cool.
But I don't like who was in it. Obviously,
versus the Brothers of Destruction.
who the hell decided to put Jinder Mahal in charge of being on the mic for that group? Drew McIntyre, Kurt Hawkins, and friggin' who else were there? Jinder Mahal, Kurt Hawkins. I think Tyler Rex was there.
Tyler Rex.
It was basically just a load of WWE jobbers and NXT
They're all
performers.
nobodies.
And to come out as 6-on-1 on Kane, I thought, WWE, what the hell is this? Why are you giving me this crap? But then, obviously, great way to hear the gong, and then hear I marked out completely when I heard that.
Yeah, I had two mates sitting around, and they were both asleep because they're not like big wrestling fans. And as soon as I heard the gong, I just ran around my living room, and I woke both of them up. I think just going mental.
I think I could have woke my sister up, to be fair, who's sleeping upstairs, but just absolutely fantastic to see him again. He looked good. He looked literally like he could do full time.
And he's repping a mohawk.
Yeah, little bit of a blip with the hood, but it's Undertaker, so we'll forgive him.
I mentioned that on the page. Botched putting the hood off.
Yeah. I didn't let that affect it, to be honest. Though I was just too impressed to see the Undertaker clean house with Kane again.
I'm not gonna let him struggling to take off the hood ruin the fact that the Undertaker returned.
Yeah, exactly. It was just brilliant, fantastic, best segment of the night, best moment of the night. Just for a start to see the Undertaker, for two to see him do a few moves in the ring with his brother or half brother, let's call it, kayfabe, of course.
Are they actually brothers?
No, there's generally no connection in real life, but for all WWE fans out there, kayfabe, obviously. But it was just. Oh yeah, Glenn Jacobs is Kane is originally. Funny fact for you, he was born near Madrid in Spain, and he's from somewhere in America. I'm not too sure, but Undertaker's obviously Mark Calloway, who was born. If he's from Texas, I know, but I don't know whereabouts in Texas, I'm afraid.
Kane's originally Spanish.
He's not. He was born in Spain. He's not originally Spanish. He was just born near Madrid.
Alright, it doesn't seem like the type of big guy to be Spanish.
No, Kane's very surprising. Obviously, he's a very, very intelligent man. He's such a nice guy. He's just nothing like the persona he has to portray on TV.
Did you see the Sky Sports interview he had ages ago?
Yeah, I've seen that as well.
Yeah, he seems like a nice bloke.
He's as people have mentioned, he's the biggest. He's got one of the biggest hearts in the locker room. He does so much for charity and stuff like that.
Really?
He never forgets his roots. It's okay. That's why I have a lot of respect for him, knowing that side to him. And I also love obviously what he does in the ring. I love his gimmick, but much better with a mask. Without the mask, he loses a lot of his finger.
Yeah.
A lot of his persona, in my opinion. But I could talk about this all night, obviously, to reiterate points. Fantastic, The Undertaker return, Brothers of Destruction. Possible. Makes you think a little bit if they're going to try and do a little storyline with that, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but I have heard rumours that Taker will be fighting a Survivor Series match this year.
Looking forward to that.
Well, it's only a speculation, because like I've been saying, he feels good and he's happy to come back and do another match over the Mania. So I think there'll be some form of Survivor Series segment. Obviously that's where he debuted, and Survivor Series has been closely linked with The Undertaker throughout his career.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with for that, but we'll see. Obviously, as always, we'll tune in every week and see what WWE can come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on from that, we had Charlie Sheen's final appearance of the night, which is basically responded to Daniel Bryan's threat and offered to meet him anywhere in the ring, in his house, etc.
I found that quite funny.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought, oh, a bit of Charlie Sheen banter, love it. And then obviously, because I didn't realise, it didn't click onto me, but when Michael Cole said the next time we're in LA is SummerSlam, I thought, yeah, bang on, that's a storyline.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fun thing to do.
I don't know if they'll pursue it though, because Charlie Sheen, I can see, ain't going to be exactly the kind of guy to jump into a WWE ring, is he? Unless paid handsome amounts of money.
Just tons of weed and then he'll do it.
But, so I don't know what'll happen with that, because obviously what happened with the Twitter debacle, he can't be trusted, can he? So I'd love to see it, because I'm a huge Charlie Sheen fan. Daniel Bryan is playing heel quite well, to be fair. So,
I think he's better. It's better to have him on Skype throughout the show than he be on Twitter. I think it ended up for the best for WWE, but still he's not trustworthy.
Yeah, overall, fantastic Charlie Sheen to see. With the Daniel Bryan storyline, possible setup, a little bit of banter about it, Charlie Sheen having a laugh, etc.
Yeah.
But from that, we obviously, with a bit of killing time, we moved on finally to the main event of the night, which I thought was always going to be the main event, in which we had Cena versus CM Punk. Which, the match itself for me wasn't exactly great. As a match, the way it was billed, I thought, oh, that's going to be good. It'd be decent to see a proper good wrestling match on the night. But in the actual match, it wasn't very good. I mean, there's a few things I've not seen before, like a couple of counters that you wouldn't have expected. CM Punk countering Super Cena, only for Cena to counter back, obviously. Then we had the ref knocked out just before an AA, which delayed things, added a new spin to it. So
I missed him getting knocked out, though. What happened?
If I'm not mistaken, I think there was some push or something, and someone backed into the ref after a move or something. They went flying down and then out the ring. But you know, a breeze will hurt the WWE referees. So.
Yeah. The equivalent to getting flicked in the ear would get them down to like 10 minutes.
Which obviously cues a Big Show. Well, obviously the way they've done that makes John Cena look strong, because technicality he won, but the ref won't know to count. It's stupid in my opinion, because it makes Punk look weak. As it's SummerSlam last year and Money in the Bank last year, he was kicking out with several AAs. But then suddenly, he gets one and fucking, he's down. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But then obviously he went to when the ref finally regained consciousness, we had Cena. Well, not really finally regained consciousness, but Cena locked in the, what it were originally, if I remember correctly, sorry. Big Show came out, obviously beat Cena up a bit, WMD'd him. Then CM Punk finally got the ref up, but he was conflicted what to do. Whether to pin him or... Because obviously he knew it wasn't the right thing to do. Because it wasn't really. It's Big Show's done the work for him. But eventually he got the cover, and not to my surprise at all, Cena kicked out of it. I expected that. So obviously it shows Punk shocked, etc., etc., and then a bit more, and then Cena, exactly as expected again, put Punk in the... STF, which again, Punk looked like he was about to tap to it, which cued Big Show coming back and ending the match, because the ref was conscious this time, so he got DQ'd for attacking Cena. Again, left Cena in a mess on the floor, before Punk looked conflicted again whether to help Cena, but then we had the Rock's music cue. So we had the Rock come down, looked like he was, he already is face, I wouldn't say turning face, but had the Rock coming down, helping Cena after all that happened. Just as about to what looks like go for the People's Elbow, Punk from nowhere, heel turn. Smacks him in the face.
I enjoyed that.
But yeah, it was good. It was good to see. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Punk, so Punk heel, I'm more than happy with as well.
Yeah. I don't mind either way if he was face or heel, because he plays them both really well.
Yeah, he's a very good tweener, to be honest.
But I enjoyed that segment. A lot of twists and turns, which made it a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't expect how it panned out at all. I just thought it'd be Cena wins. Not like all the some changes between Big Show, but I knew Big Show had to make an appearance over the night.
Well, I thought Cena would win, but I didn't expect Big Show to appear in that match, like I said. But just to mention, obviously, because Tom can't be here with us, his thoughts on that was that it was the most obvious of the potential turns, and that he doesn't know anyone that had to turn. But he'll still cheer for Punk and Cena, but Cena should have turned heel. Because there's not really an excuse to him, because people would still buy Cena's merchandise, but he believes possibly Big Show will be like Punk's bodyguard now, or something along the lines of that Big Show and Punk will be closely associated, or something like that. But he's very intrigued to see how they'll go with it, see what happens.
I can't wait to see how it all pans out. As I've said earlier, the fallout next week will be just as interesting as the actual show that was last night.
They have to go the right ways of it, though. If they go stupid ways of it again, they're just going to lose fans.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'd be disappointed. If they have that tag match I mentioned earlier on at SummerSlam, I'd be disappointed in it. Very disappointed in it.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to go the right way with it to keep me entertained.
I can't trust WWE these days, though. They're so inconsistent.
No, that's exactly what I always say. You don't know when you've got a good show coming, because one week it'll be fantastic, the next it'll be appalling.
Yeah.
There's just so much inconsistency in the quality of the shows. It's ridiculous, but overall then, just because we've got a few minutes left, I've got a couple of questions to ask, but overall, what did we think of last night's Raw?
Good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I overall enjoyed it.
Better, but I enjoyed it anyhow.
It could have been booked, and there could have been a few differences that would have improved its quality to me, but that's me. I'm one member of the WWE Universe.
Yeah.
So they have to obviously think of it. Overall, that was probably a very good, enjoyable show.
Mhm.
I was happy with it, but next week has to be good. Has to be good, or I'll get annoyed at it, lose interest if it goes bad. But just a couple of questions to ask to finish. I've got my usual 2 questions that I ask all my guests, but
We've got a couple off Liam on Facebook as well.
Yeah, I've got one to ask from him, which is just what I'll go with now. What surprised you most about the Raw 1000th episode?
What surprised me the most was the AJ GM thing. I'm not making it out to be my favourite thing, but it's the most surprising thing because I definitely didn't expect it.
Yeah, I could agree with that. It was either the AJ GM or definitely the Undertaker return.
I wasn't very surprised at the Undertaker return, though. I kind of had a feeling that it was going to happen. But
I really wanted him to be there.
Expect AJ.
Yeah, I really wanted him to be there. I just never expect to see him ever until it's near WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I've basically got in the mindset of knowing I won't see Undertaker until a month previous to Mania. So to see him there, it was a nice surprise. But yeah, on shock value, definitely the AJ GM thing was the biggest surprise of the night. That's quite an obvious one to touch upon. But in the next question that was asked last week, and I didn't have much time for it, and I won't this week, but if John Cena's push never happened, do you think the WWE would be different?
A lot different. It wouldn't be so child orientated. It's because there's so many kids that love Cena so much. They have to branch towards them rather than the more mature audience. So yeah, it would be a lot different. It's more serious, like content and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd definitely be different in my opinion, without doubt. But I don't know who they were. You can't really predict. It's all what ifs.
Yeah.
But moving on at a fast pace, because we're down to the last minute of the episode now. Question that I asked to all my guests: how did you get into wrestling, and at what age?
I got into it when I was about 8 or 9, and then I got into it because everyone was into it at that age, like all my mates and stuff like that. And then I went to 2 live shows when I liked it then, but then I kind of went off it.
Yeah.
And then I started watching it again, but then went off it again, and then I only really started watching wrestling consistently after WrestleMania 28, because I saw Phil like picking it up on FMCV, making the page and stuff like that. So I thought, oh, I might as well get involved. I always liked wrestling.
Yeah, I'm obviously my views are known, but sadly that's all we have time for in tonight's show. I want to thank Ollie for joining me, and hopefully you've enjoyed it, guys. And Tom, originally,